guys, hey everyone. My name is Petr and I'm Crowd Solution Architect at Toloka. Today we'll be speaking about machine learning, and actually you might know that you can't do any machine learning stuff without a bit of labeled data, right? So that's why today we'll speak a bit about data labeling. We'll speak a bit about crowdsourcing and the different stages that you should pass when you make a crowdsourcing project, different challenges you can have, and some of best practices that you can use. So actually, let's start with understanding why do we need data labeling. Like I feel like you should know it. So actually, for every sphere, for every field, if you make any artificial intelligence thing, you need some machine learning stuff. You will be making some labeling for your data, yeah, and you will be training this on your labeled data. And actually, you will also see some kind of this loop. So you will be always retraining your stuff. So you will be always re-evaluating it, and it is always a place for human here. So let's focus on some more specific cases, like let's switch from general things to some specific ones. Today we'll speak about search relevance. So it is one kind of task which could be done with crowdsourcing. So actually it is about evaluating some marketplaces, for example. So imagine that you own a marketplace. So probably you will be dealing with search engine pages, which is like a list of products which you display to your user as a response to his or her query. And actually, you'd like this to be quite relevant, right? So you'd like your customers to see those goods which they were looking for. And when speaking about keeping this relevant, actually the thing is quite easy. So you should first prepare some pairs of queries and products. Then you should somehow evaluate if they are relevant or not. And after that, you will have some success, like you will be always making your models better and better. So the idea is that you see this question mark, so how to label this data. And actually, it's a good task for crowdsourcing. If any of you guys don't know what crowdsourcing is, it's about like making simple tasks, asking some random people, a lot of people with different background to complete them, and then you can somehow get the result. You can get your data labeled. So let's see how to make it, right? Today we'll be dealing with such a template. So we'll be having a white deck, and we'll be building our crowdsourcing project by bricks. And I will be covering each brick, like what challenge can you have there, okay? So firstly, we'll start with the decomposition instruction. We'll pick them both. So if you have ever heard any talks from Toloka guys about decomposition, we usually use it with a task decomposition. Like when you have a difficult thing to do, a complex, for example, computer vision, where you should somehow annotate images, like make those bounding boxes, etc., you usually need to divide it into different steps. Search relevance is quite an easy task, right? So you just display this thing and you just ask one question. But here, we will speak about the preposition, like preparing your workers to be able to make these tasks. It also should be decomposed. Toloka guys, and I'm not an exception, we usually use such a pipeline. First of all, the first step is training. It is aimed, like, you know, to show your people the main rules, like the main type of tasks, just to demonstrate them what they will have while labeling your main data, let's say. After that, you will be having an exam, and here you just select the most performful and skillful workers, which will get your data labeled with high quality. And after that, you will just let them label your main data. So actually, when speaking about search relevance, you can imagine two types of training. Let's imagine that thing like you should somehow tell people to tell whether this product is relevant to the query or not. So actually, you have a subjective way. You can just tell them, so guys, imagine that you have made this query, like do you feel like this product will be relevant, suitable for you, etc. And another way is the way of training, instructions, rules, So you are preparing different instructions, topics, you describe different product categories, and you describe different rules whether to relay this product to irrelevant category or to exact category, for example. Actually, a subjective way is usually not a good choice, and we'll see why a bit later. So now we'll focus on training stuff. If you just listen to all this, you can say, so yeah, it's quite complicated. You are speaking about some trainings. It is very heavy, difficult to implement. And you will be possibly right, because in search relevance, there are a lot of different categories. There are a lot of different products. Sometimes people even don't know which products, for which purposes these products are used. So that's why this instruction is quite heavy. And for such heavy, complicated tasks, we usually make an additional step, which we name quiz. So it can look something like this. So it is a way of transforming your instruction into a task itself. So your workers can see just several pages. Each page contains some article, like on main rules, which they should implement while making this labeling. You have some quiz on the same page to control their responses and to be sure that they understand it cool. And you have some simple navigation between different parts. So this is the thing we use in Toloka for our production projects, and it shows it's really good. So actually, yeah, you again see on all of these, you see, guys, Toloka is complicated. We should set up all these different trainings, exams. Whoa, it's a lot of work. So actually it is, but it is the price which you are paying for the scalability of your project, because you should set up it once, and you will be able to load a lot of data in it. And if your pipelines are good, you will be able to handle it. So at this point, I believe we are good with the composition and instruction, and we'll need to get some more bricks to our white deck, and it will be task interface. So actually, when you are speaking about crowdsourcing, you expect that you will somehow show anything to your workers. For example, it will be an Excel sheet where you will be just writing some information in the cells, or you will be using some crowdsourcing platform like Toloka, and you will be displaying something on their phones. In any way, in this case, you should show two things basically: a product and a user's query. And of course, you need some controls in order to select somehow the answer. You can just look at the following example. So it looks fine, yeah? So we have a product title. These blue symbols say us that this is a hyperlink, possibly. And we have some colorful buttons and everything. So yeah, looks cool. Actually, the one thing you should always consider when making a crowdsourcing is that you pay for the time which your workers spend when making your task. So even speaking about the interface, you should make it as simple, as fast as possible. So let's look at it again. So imagine that you will display some product which the user is not familiar with. So possibly he or she will just go and Google it. So why we should not add just a search in Google button here just to save their time? And here it is, like it is possible. The next thing, imagine that the user every time needs to open this web page, like go to the marketplace, somehow browse through this product page, understand whether it's relevant or not. Actually, we can also save some time here, just providing a screenshot or an image product or something like that. And for the most crowdsourcing platforms, you will be able to make it. And even you can see that we have added some shortcuts, some hotkeys, just to save time, not to tap those radio buttons, but tap some keyboards just to save some microseconds, I can say, yeah? So yeah, this is how task interfaces could be made, and this is a good way to make it. So the next thing will be quality control. Because in crowdsourcing, when you let some people, which you don't know, for you those are random people, and you just let them label your data on which you'll be training your machine learning stuff and deploy it to production, you should be always sure that everything goes fine. So if the quality is okay. Usually, the first attempt, for example, taking into account Toloka, of Toloka requester is the following. So usually guys prepare some control tasks for some frequent classes. Actually, first of all, what is a control task? So control task is the same thing as a main task, but the idea is that you know the answer, so you can somehow control what Toloka is performing. Like you can somehow compare his or her answer to the correct one and to understand whether they're making things good. So often guys prepare some control tasks for frequent classes. After that, they use both for exam and for main pools. After that, they even ban workers who demonstrate some bad skills. So all of those are not really good. First of all, if you make control tasks only for some frequent classes, it won't have any effect. For example, imagine the following situation when you have like 90% of exact classes among your control tasks. So if the user will just randomly click in exact every time, he will be getting 90% accuracy, and you'll be thinking that, oh God, this man is really skillful. That's not a way. Actually, when you use these tasks both for exams and main pools, it is also quite a strange thing, because a worker could easily understand if he sees the task which he had previously on his exam, and he will be accurate when making those tasks, and he will not be accurate when making other tasks. So that's why you will have a picture like everything's go fine, but actually those guys just making some random things with your main data. And the last thing is that banning people is not really fair. Like, you know, it's not a good thing. So usually we use skills for this, and I will demonstrate them on the next slide. So basically, a skill is quite an obvious thing. Like it is some value which you somehow calculate, and then you somehow use it to control audience, like to let or not to let guys inside your pools. So the simplest skill is some accuracy on control tasks. So I have already said that we have control tasks, so you can just calculate how much you are correct and not, and you can somehow calculate the accuracy. And usually you make some initial value to this skill while making an exam, and then in main pool you just keep recalculating it in order to be able to control everything. So actually, when dealing with skill, we recommend the following pipeline. So this blue circle is those new tasks that you are receiving. At the same time, you should somehow get previously labeled results and try to generate some control tasks from them. I can say that this could be done automatically, and some crowdsourcing platforms even provide this functionality as a part of crowdsourcing platform, and Toloka is not an exception. And after that, you will be able to somehow mix those new tasks with previously prepared control tasks and divide them into three parts, like to create an exam, create a main pool, and create a retry pool, because you should always have bring a chance to your Tolokers while they losing their skills to get back to the main pool. From the worker's perspective, the idea is the following. When completing exam, the worker is getting some initial skill value. Then they start completing some main tasks. You keep mixing some control tasks there, and you somehow calculate what is the skill value at this moment. And in case in some time the worker loses his skill, he will be able to make it in a retry pool. So actually, this is a basic thing about quality control. It is quite simple, but yet a lot of people do these mistakes when making some first projects. So if you guys will do it by your own, feel free to use these life hacks. So the next thing we'll speak about is pricing, because you might know that when you're speaking about crowdsourcing, you pay some money to your workers. And actually, the main idea I wanted to tell here is that you should pay your workers according to their efforts. Like, for example, on this project, we have a lot of different languages. And the idea is that we have even rare languages. So the question is, should we just pay a lot of money to those guys and will everything be fine? Actually not. The idea is that static prices make the situation is in the way that, for example, people which are not really good, for example, in Swedish, they will just go to Swedish pool, to Swedish project, and they will be keeping some tasks there, making some tasks there. And you will see lower results, actually. And also, workers are not somehow motivated. So if you pay the same amount of money to those who make a lot of mistakes, and you pay those monies to those who make everything perfect, they will not be somehow motivated to make it perfect. So actually, the solution for this is to set dynamic pricing, and this is also a place where this skill can help you. Like, you can determine some rules and pay workers based on this skill value, and the idea is that in this way, they will be motivated to rise this skill value and to earn more. So this is how we usually make it. And the last thing, like, look at this deck. I believe we have built already everything, but still, if you have a perfect project, if you have a perfect crowdsourcing pipeline, you will still need to somehow think about relabeling, because there could be still some difficulties. So the main thing is, for example, you can get some biased data, and you will have some more percentage of classes, rare classes, etc. You can also see some noisy entries. So in these both situations, you will somehow need to understand that something is going wrong and to be able to correct it. And actually, here we use a thing which we call relabeling, but actually, again, as I say, new requesters make a lot of mistakes, and they usually just increase overlap, like the amount of times which the same task is performed by different people. They just increase the thresholds, and the idea is that this won't work. Firstly, you will just pay more even for simple tasks. Then you will probably have a low labeling speed because there are a lot of people with a high skill. The way to make it is some relabeling, and you can do the following. First of all, you use some default settings, like you use some default prices, different overlaps, you collect the results from there. You calculate confidence, like this value demonstrates of how people are confident when making this choice. And if you see some low confident results, you can just increase overlap only for them and increase the skill threshold also for them only. As a result, simple tasks will go cheap and they will go fast. And for those which are more complex, you will have their audience, you will find their workers with higher skills, and you will pay them more. So this is quite all about making a crowdsourcing project. Let's sum up a bit, like if you will just register at Toloka today. This is the main points which you need to consider when making it. First of all, try to decompose your task. Like, even if you have a simple one and you feel like you will prepare some people, feel free to make this training exam pipeline, and this is really a best practice how we make it. Then consider making some really simple and fast interface to let your workers perform fast. The next thing is to somehow manage control tasks. I've said already that some crowdsourcing platforms allow you to make this even in automatic way, like to create those control tasks, but you can even make it in Python, like by your own hands. Then think about setting dynamic pricing, because you should pay a lot of money to those who perform well, just to motivate others to start to perform well. And the last but not the least is don't throw away relabeling, because you should always have a QA, like you should always understand what you're getting on the output, and in case you see any difficulties, you should somehow make relabeling and check it. So Actually, today that's all from my side. If you'd like, guys, you really can use Toloka by your own hands, and this is a promo code. And also, if I'm not mistaken, next week we'll be having some tutorial, so I believe you will be also able to participate. So yeah, that's it from me.